I just still don't believe in the Cowboys. I don't trust Dak Prescott. They had 13 penalties yesterday, some of which was probably the refs keeping the game a little bit closer on Thanksgiving, sure. But this Cowboys team leads the NFL in penalties this year. And when I watch this defense, you have Micah Parsons, and you have Diggs. You have one of the best groups, one of the best pass rush. But I just don't trust Dak Prescott. BCAP, for some reason you do. What was your takeaway initially from this performance by Dallas and New York?
Well, see, here's what I don't understand. You don't believe in Dak Prescott, but he literally showed you the mental fortitude of what it takes to be a great quarterback in this league. He had a rocky first half. Didn't play that very well. All right. He threw 2 interceptions. But then in the second half, clean game, played great. Him and CD are finally finding that connection now. Michael Gallup is looking healthier. The run game, you still got that 1-2 pop. Zeke is, he's a touchdown guy. Give him the ball near the goal line. He can get you that touchdown. I believe in Dak. I've already told you the rookie season playoff performance made Dak for me. So I believe in Dak's intangibles a lot more than other quarterbacks in this league. While he might not be as talented, I believe intangibles are more important than talent. And he's got talent. He's just not the most talented. He's out there, wheeling and dealing. He was balling yesterday in the second half. Him and CD really started. CD was on one yesterday. That guy he had 2 insane grabs. One didn't count, but it was that close to counting. CD is starting to show it. Now he's got it, like I say, consistency, sustainability. He's done it the last couple of weeks. I got to see it throughout the season, and then we can start talking about, okay, maybe CD is this true number 1 wide receiver.
I came at CD Lamb. I don't know if you guys remember this very early in the season where I was like, dude, you're wearing number 88. I got to see some production like that. I got to see the Michael Irvin, the Des Bryant-like production out of you. And, this Thanksgiving, he showed out. He really did. And like you said, the one that didn't catch, first off, I was nervous as hell about it. I didn't want it to count because I had a bet on the game. But what an insane grab. CeeDee Lamb is really developing into a real number 1 for that Cowboys team. And, I know this was about Dak Prescott, so I'll just say this. Not every game is supposed to be pretty. Not every game has to look like an MVP caliber performance. So the Giants are a tough team. They brought it on Thanksgiving early, at least. And then second half came and the floodgates opened. They couldn't make a stop. They couldn't. The Cowboys offense was unstoppable. CeeDee Lamb was open at every moment, it felt. Dude, I just really don't think we can judge Dak Prescott based on this performance solely because, like I said, not every game is going to be pretty. Cowboys did enough. They won the game. That's what they're supposed to do. Now they're second in the division, 8-3.
My issue with Dak, fellas, he has not won a big game in his entire career. And this year he's gone off to a slow start, sure. This game against the Giants, he's playing against no Adoree Jackson, who's out after last week, and Fabian Moreau, Giants starting safety, leaves the game. Whether or not the Giants would have had an answer for CeeDee Lamb, ultimately, this game against the Giants shows you can't lean on Dak. And I think for the Cowboys, defensively, they won the day. The Giants got 0 sacks yesterday, and yes, they had a very good second half against a depleted Giants defense. Like, that secondary is not good. You look at it down the board, they've dealt with so many injuries this year, and it's impressive the Giants were in this game up until the fourth quarter. At the end, they got the garbage time touchdown, so it wasn't as close as 28-20. But at the end of the day, I say to myself, it's the same old Dak Prescott. Nothing's changed. And with Mike McCarthy, I don't know why you guys are so high on this team just because of the pass rush, because these are the matchups you have to win convincingly. Daniel Jones had himself a good day, and the Giants as a whole played well, but that's like a middle-of-the-pack team. And we're looking at the Giants. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. We all know they're not a real playoff team. They're competitive, they're well-coached, and they can win close. They're playing, they're definitely punching up their weight this year, but these are the types of games where you need to come out and win convincingly. Last week versus Minnesota was strong, but it wasn't led by Dak. And I said to myself, against the Philadelphia, against the San Francisco, and even a Tampa Bay, I don't trust Dak to go out there and win against any of those 3 teams. Am I the only one here? Like, this is the Giants. Look at that defense,
Yes,
the
you
secondary.
are the only one. I mean, was the Vikings game not a big game?
The Vikings defense just got cooked yesterday by Mac Jones. It's not a good secondary either.
But I'm just
Many
saying though,
questions.
you were saying the Vikings could be in the NFC Championship game this year.
They could, but I really don't believe that after. I mean, they won yesterday. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that.
after what? After they got blown out by who? The Dallas Cowboys.
Their defense.
Their offense got shut down too. Justin Jefferson was mitigated to what? Looking like an average wide receiver out there against Dallas. The
I'm talking
O-line
about
was
Dak.
getting
I
worse.
believe in the Cowboys defense is special. It's a top 3 unit in the league. But this is the ultimate team sport. When I look at
you trust Jimmy, but you trust Jimmy Garoppolo and Jalen Hurts though over Dak. But that's what I'm not saying.
I trust those two teams to mask those two quarterbacks' deficiencies.
And the
over
Cowboys
Mike
can't?
McCarthy, Kellen Moore, and
Okay,
the
so
Cowboys
that's
team
your main
easily.
concern. I don't
Kyle
think your main
Shanahan and Nick
concern is
Sirianni.
Dak. Hold on.
More.
I don't think your main concern is Dak Prescott. I think your main concern is what we all concern is Mike McCarthy. That's what I think your main concern is. I think if we all thought if this team had a Sean Payton or somebody like that, you wouldn't be having those same concerns. You would be believing in this team.
We've seen Mike McCarthy win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. So the root of the Cowboys' deficiencies is their quarterback in Dak. I think he's a franchise guy, but I still don't trust him to win the big one. And then Jerry Jones hires Mike McCarthy. So the duality of one of, in my opinion, the worst coaches in football, it's where I stand, and a very inconsistent, unreliable quarterback in the highest levels, those two things offensively, when I stack up to Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo's performance, that 49ers offense has so many weapons. Sure, Odell Beckham, who I think is going to sign at the Cowboys, can make a big difference, and CeeDee Lamb that right now is playing out of his mind. But that 49ers offense, with CMC, Kittle, Deebo Samuel is probably the best player to the catch in the NFL. Brandon Ayuk, Elijah Mitchell, I trust that team more because their defense is in the same exact class as Dallas. That's why I trust that team. Kyle Shanahan, he is what kind of shields or kind of masks Jimmy Garoppolo's concerns. And we have seen Jimmy Garoppolo win the big one time in and time out. Last year, he beat Dak Prescott, and they both played poor games. Why? The 49ers are a better team with a better head coach. And they did that, by the way, on the road. They were a 6 seed last year that started off the year below 500. So, of course, I trust San Francisco a lot more, getting healthy in this point of the season, and I easily trust Philadelphia more. We've seen it before our very own eyes. Lane Johnson did a great job against Micah Parsons. Philadelphia matches up very well against that Dallas defense.
Those were Cooper Rush.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm with you on your 49ers take, but that's about it. Because I really don't see Philadelphia looking like this team. I think this defense is good enough to mask whatever shortcomings that you see of Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. I really do think so. I think Dak Prescott's a way better quarterback than Jimmy G. It's just which defense is going to step up, who's going to be the complete package when it really comes down to it. And what I'm seeing out of the Cowboys defense is looking like a team that can mask those shortcomings. I mean, outside of the game against Green Bay, they've looked spectacular. One thing those Cowboys teams of the past didn't have was a player like Micah Parsons. Now they have that. That's their impact guy. And if they do go get Odell, doesn't that make you feel a little bit more comfortable about Dak Prescott?
The Cowboys' offense should be built upon the offensive line in that running game. But I feel like with the 49ers, I have more trust in the play calling, the designs, and beyond those two things, late in games, whereas I think the Cowboys tense up. Mike McCarthy, not good at time and clock management. Kyle Shanahan, one of the best coaches in football. And I know B-Cap, for some reason, I don't like Kyle Shanahan because of the blown Super Bowl leads, right? He had it in Atlanta, and then he had it with Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019. But at the end of the day, if you're going to go between Mike McCarthy, right, and the Cowboys leadership, the infrastructure of that offense, or San Francisco, so long as the 49ers are healthy, I trust them. And then I come back to Philadelphia, guys. James Bradbury and Darius Slay would eat Dak Prescott's lunch money. I'm very confident in that. And I think Philadelphia, when they get Jordan Davis back, with those reinforcements they've added in, Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, they're not starters. They're just being worked into the mix. So with the depth that the Eagles have in the defensive line, and of course their ability to get to the quarterback, I think they're a much better matchup against Dallas than Dallas is of a matchup against them. because of how good their offensive line is, how dynamic their playmaking is, and most of all, their secondary. I read an article in The Athletic, basically cast-offs to cornerstones. Darius Slay and James Bradbury, guys, that's the best cornerback duo in football, and there's really not much of a debate. I don't think there's any shot. And then you add in the guy from New Orleans at safety as well, playmakers all over the back ends. I feel like for Dak Prescott, that matchup's trouble city.
You said a lot there. One thing you said that is completely not true is that I'm not a fan of Kyle Shanahan. I believe he's a top 10 coach in the league. Is that not being a fan? I've just brought up his shortcomings, which is a fact that happened. I'm not wrong in bringing those up. He was a part of both teams. One thing I think that, I'm not going to say Kellen Moore is on a Kyle Shanahan's level in terms of offensive scheme, but he is very good. All right. And you say this team should be leaned on the run and the offensive line more. They kind of are. They're hitting it with these two guys. And you're going to tell me right now, like, if those two guys are going, Zeke and Pollard, that offensive line is healthy. They're playing at an elite level. And then you got play action over the top with a CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, who's looking healthier, OBJ coming back, Dalton Schultz, freaking Jalen Ferguson, I believe that kid's name is, that hurdled the young dude on the Giants. Like, you're not bringing up the fact that Dallas has a bunch of playmakers on offense too. And Dak's a way better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo or Jalen Hurts as a thrower of the football. Don't go, he is. They've never put up numbers that Dak Prescott has put up.
Jimmy Garoppolo has put up numbers in the regular season. He's put up numbers.
Dude, again, Jimmy Garoppolo is like the fourth or fifth thing you bring up when you talk about the 49ers' success. So I don't want to hear it about
How about
him.
Dallas? What are the top three things when they play a good football game this season as to why they win?
This season? Well, first off, Dak Prescott has been injured for a little bit of this season. So
this is a new Cowboys team. You view them as a Super Bowl contender. So this is different than last year's team.
Well, I say that they can win a Super Bowl, but I don't believe they're going to win a Super Bowl. Let's
be
a
contender
completely honest. Okay, yes.
What are the top three things? Unit by unit.
I would say defense, right?
Well, like specifically, pass rush, secondary.
All right, Michael Parsons.
So just like Mike as a whole, and then the pass rush with DeMarcus Lawrence flanking.
Okay, fine. If you want to go past, that's why I'm saying defense as a whole, because there's also Trayvon Diggs is out there. You got Leighton Vander Esch, who's having a career resurgence. These guys are playing out of their mind right now. So that's why I want defense number one. Then I would probably say
the rushing attack number two.
Running attack probably number two. And then Dak Prescott.
I'm going offensive line before.
I was going to say O-line.
Now the O-line's not what it was, but it's still very good. Zero sacks.
See, again, you're saying
and
that
then
because
I'm going
Prescott
CeeDee Lamb. I'm going these tight ends before Dak.
He's coming off an injury again.
But this is the same quarterback. We've seen the same exact guy for the last 6 years. And you're bringing up the game from 6 years ago. The last time you saw him in the postseason, he was a train wreck against San Francisco.
And so was Jalen Hurts, and Jimmy Garoppolo missed a...
That Buccaneers matchup was terrible for Philadelphia against the best rush defense in the NFL they were going up against.
And Dallas isn't, again, 49ers defense isn't great either. Like, we're going to ignore that point.